meet you all. And so I'm Daniella. I'm the founder of Space Positive, and and Space Positive is a design consultancy that specialises in creating beautiful, healthy environments with the focus on well-being, inclusivity, and productivity. So I'm going to be sharing with you today my story. I'm still a fairly new company, so I wanted to share with you my story of how I created Space Positive, why I did that, and the journey so far. We're looking at the journey from starting up and then going through the challenges of growing through COVID, starting through COVID. And looking at the challenges and then looking at ways where I had to think fast on how to create opportunities for these difficult times. And I kind of finish off with some of the ideas of what has helped me to grow through the last 2 years. So, my journey. I've always been really curious about how people and why people start a company, or the career path that they do, and what really drives them. And for me, I can clearly remember. It was September 2019, and it was the day that I chose to pick my phone up and call in sick. I was. My career as a successful design consultant. I was working with a global furniture manufacturer at the time. I was working with large and small organisations throughout UK and Ireland, and my role was to really listen to understand what their challenges were in the workplace and create design solutions to help solve those problems. And while I was really focused on my customers, my clients, and my work and life in general, stress was creeping up and slowly focusing on me. And that resulted in me becoming physically and mentally unwell. So while I took some time to recover and think about how on earth I got into this situation, I realised that I needed to make some changes in my life. And the first one was that I wanted to explore what it was like to run my own business and be my own boss and take a bit more control of my life. And the second thing was that I realised that if I had ended up in this situation, that maybe other people have gone through the same thing. And so I thought what I could do was make it my mission to create an organisation, a company that would put people first and design positive environments. So these focused on, number one, being really intentional about improving physical posture and movement. 2, really considering inclusion and designing environments to provide a choice of spaces so it would suit a diverse team of people. And 3, being really caring, empathetic, and really thinking about people at the heart of everything I do, and creating environments that support mental health. So, with these ideas in my head, thinking, right, I want to do it, I created Space Positive and I launched in March 2020. And perfect timing for So, I love this image. I think it has a few connotations, and for me, I look at it through a couple of lenses. The first one is the weightlessness, the lightness of floating in space, feeling like you have a really good day and you feel really happy and kind of, really motivated, and it feels good. But On the other hand, that could also mean that sometimes through challenges and difficult times, especially through the pandemic and things start to hit you, you feel like you've got such a weight on your shoulder, you've got, you know, the whole planet on your shoulder. And so I'm sure we all recognise how difficult it has been and the challenges that we've had to kind of get through to kind of either grow businesses or get through what we're doing with our businesses. For me, my huge challenge was I needed a space, I needed environments and people to be in those environments. And with a lockdown, it's like my whole business model was like taken up from under my feet. What do I do with this? So while I was pondering on how do I create an opportunity through the pandemic when I needed spaces for people to go into and create these wonderful environments, I have always got a big interest in health and in environment. So I took some time out to study, and I graduated and became an accredited well consultant and Fitwell ambassador. And these qualifications enabled me to provide advice and accreditation on these new building standards around healthy buildings. So I learned so much during, when I was studying. I found out so much about the importance of getting ventilation in, how to combat and mitigate airborne viruses and illnesses, the importance of flushing the water system out of buildings, and things like including, the impact of lights on your sleep and noise levels and mental health. So I thought all this information could be really useful because, organisations, they want to kind of know how to go back and open up, but feel that needs to be in a really safe and hygienic environment. So I saw this as an opportunity where I could create a new service, and I called it the Safe Spaces. And these Safe Spaces service allowed me to support businesses with strategies to create their environments to be hygienic and safe. And I tested this because it was obviously new. It wasn't something that I already thought about before I launched. And I tested it on the network that I had. So I contacted my children's school, the local church, the parish centre. I had contacts in some regional charities. So I tested that model, and it really helped create an opportunity for them to open up and feel safe. And this was all done free of charge. But what it did do is allow me to get testimonials, and through that I was able to gain some business opportunities, which has been really good. So I wanted to kind of share that those were the challenges that I've had experienced, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people have been thinking how, considering what they've done in terms of turning their business around and trying to make something out of something very difficult. So growing a business through the pandemic, how do you, looking at some of the issues about, how do you create opportunities when something seems like it's going to be very difficult to do. For me, I looked at what was really happening for organisations and workplaces, and I realised that people were having to work from home. There were, in order to be productive, and now coming back in, organisations are supporting their staff to work flexibly and do hybrid working. So that obviously that's got an impact on space, impact on offices, and particularly office furniture, which is a good thing for a business such as myself, because really being very aware of the environment and trying to design as sustainably as possible, I was able to use this, benefit from the fact that there's going to be so much availability of used office furniture, and incorporate that into a service that I provide, which is called Design Spaces. So as part of the package, my client is offered the access to used furniture, as well as integrating their existing, reusing existing furniture as well as new furniture. So, I said looking ahead, but we're all looking ahead when we're kind of growing our business and doing something for our business. So I have 3 things that I wanted to kind of share with you that has been super important for me as a new business. One of them is, I've been really fortunate to have a very good personal network of friends and family, been so supportive, but also developing my wider network of businesses and creating partnerships that are really reliable. Secondly, having available and being made available to me some absolutely brilliant resources such as Enterprise Enfield, which I found so useful. And finally, I think Marianne mentioned about being really adaptive and very flexible and really understanding what the client's needs are. So they're obviously going through the same things. They're trying to think about what it means to be operating in this space of coming out of the pandemic and what that means to them. So being really focused on the business for them now and the clients and their future growth. So how can I support them on that? So, just to almost kind of wrap it up, I feel that these are all opportunities when we go through difficult times to learn and to grow, to be open to adapting, to thinking about outside the box, thinking about things that you possibly wouldn't have even considered before. And for me, I'm striving to do that, learning from my failures and continuing to reach for the stars. So, just to wrap up, I've shared with you my journey so far, some of the challenges that I've experienced and how I've turned difficulties into opportunities, and feeling really positive about where the growth of Space Positive can be. Thank you.